viewers, Sweat Prepper here. So, got more news today. This will mainly just be another news update, and then I want to give some of my personal opinions on certain things. So first of all, we've got monkeypox coming back up in the news. Now scientists are saying that they fear that it will transmit into animals and then be here to stay. That's one of the fears that they've got from monkeypox. So yeah, definitely coming back. Why are they trying to bring this thing back? Why is monkeypox becoming such why are they trying to make it a sensation? If you notice, they're doing the exact same thing. They're doing the exact same marketing, the exact same tactics they used. Because that's all it really is. It's all marketing. It's not really anything more than that. They're just marketing it. But they're using the same tactics they did with the first virus we faced in 2020. Same thing. Go back and read the articles from there if you can find them. Search them up, look them up. You'll find that they're using the same exact tactics, the same exact methods, the same exact wordings. They're using the same exact type of wordings that they were using in those articles and these new monkeypox articles. So this is alarming, not in the fact that we should be afraid of monkeypox or anything. It's alarming in the sense of if you are an army general and there's warning signs of the enemy. There's warning signs. That's what the alarming I'm talking about. Not as in like you should be afraid or anything, or running around with your head like a headless chicken or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying an alarm as in look twice at it, consider it, be on your guard now, because it's becoming a thing. They're saying that I forget where it was, but this place right here, it should say on the article, has declared a public emergency for monkeypox. So now the US is not the only. There's only one. It's just happening more and more around the place. This thing is becoming more and more known, becoming more and more widespread. So that's what we've got to look forward to. Also, there's more nuclear news. So, we've got this article is talking about how this war in Ukraine is pushing Russia and the US's nuclear treaty to its final stage. As in, in other words, what they're saying is that they're pushing the limits on that. That because of how Russia is handling this war in Ukraine and how the US is going to bat for Ukraine and not Russia. It's putting a heavy situation on their nuclear deal, on Russia and the United States' nuclear deal. So they're pushing that as well. I get on here and I talk a lot about nuclear stuff nowadays. It just started happening. This nuclear stuff just started popping up in the news. It's not by accident, but you all know that. Everyone who's watching these videos, everyone who knows about this type, everyone who's been in this genre for over half a month has been paying attention for about half a year. So we all know it's intentional. There's no mistakes in this. They haven't made a mistake in being like, oh, this is just happening. No, it's all intentional. So it's time to get ready. Time to make sure you've got your things in place, your preps in place. Time to make sure you can defend your own. It's time to make sure you're ready for when the blast goes off. Because whether or not it's in our timeline, whether or not it's today, tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the Bible talks about how the generation that sees these things that are coming to pass, the things that are happening now, because what the Bible was talking about is the things that are happening now. But it talks about how the generation that sees these things come to pass will not pass away until all be fulfilled. That could be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. But I'd like to think that I'll still be alive in that time. My kids will still be alive in that time. So we have to make sure, if you're 50, you're likely still be alive in that time. We have to make sure we're ready for this stuff, because either way it's going to happen. We know how this ends. It's going to happen. All we got to do is make sure we're ready for it. So are you? Have you set your heart to it? Have you set your heart in array to go to deal with something as catastrophic as a bomb going off, a nuclear bomb going off? I say again, it might not be a nuclear bomb that causes everything to crash. It might not be a nuclear bomb that throws the world into chaos. But from what I see, from things that are transpiring in front of me, from things that I'm noticing around, I think it'll definitely be a nuclear bomb. I think it'll definitely be some sort of nuclear happening, something nuclear will transpire, and that's what's gonna crash it. That's what's gonna bring the world into the state they need it in to enforce the mark. It'll have to be something big, and I'm thinking it's nuclear from what I'm seeing in the news, from what I'm seeing transpire. I'm thinking it's probably nuclear. So are you ready for that? Here's some things that you can do to get ready. Here are some things you can put your heart to in order to make yourself more ready for those times. Because honestly, lots of preppers, lots of people that watch these videos, lots of people that just watch videos like this in general aren't ready. They're not ready. The average American would die on day one. People that watch these videos, most people that watch these videos, I'd say would die probably in about probably half a year, maybe a year and so. But after a year passes, probably most of them will be dead. Not everyone. There are lots of you who are ready and could survive. For me, I know it'll be hard. I'm not saying that I would survive or that I'd die. I don't know that I'd like to think I'd survive. We can never tell for sure. No one ever knows. But the least you can do is make yourself ready. The least you can do is make yourself as ready as you can get. Push yourself to the limits. I was watching another video from another channel the other night, and he was talking about how things have softened up. The luxuries that Americans have, the luxuries that we have really just softened us up, really made us soft. And what he was saying really made sense with a different video that I had done. I had specifically talked about AC and how people wouldn't know how to live without it. How AC has made people very soft. Wouldn't know how to live without it. Wouldn't know how to be without it. Just couldn't live without it. Even if they had the gardens in place, they had a source of water and they had a source of food. Without AC, they still pretty much are dead. Something that small that our ancestors lived without. And it was everyday life. Everyday life, they didn't think, oh man, it's so hot today, I can't do anything about it. It may have been hot, but they didn't look at it in the way we look at heat nowadays. They dealt with it differently. They could deal with it. Even if it was a hot day out in the sun, they would go out and they would work in the sun. They wouldn't think about, oh, there's AC inside and I'd rather be in there. I can rather be in the AC. They didn't think like that. They had certain things that they had to do, and they got it done. They didn't think about AC. Nowadays, we have AC in the house. We have AC in the car. We have AC everywhere. In the building, in our workplace. We live in AC. We live in a air-conditioned environment. And that destroys a lot of humans. Now, don't get me wrong. AC is a grand thing. AC is one of the best inventions ever. I love it. I do. But I've lived without it. I lived without AC for most of my childhood. So I know how it is to live without it. And I could do it again if I had to. But perhaps, this is what I said on the video that I talked about AC in before. Practice sometimes. Just turn the AC off for a while. Just practice living without it. Just go a day without it sometimes. Set a marker, a day in the week, and just do it every week just for one day. Turn the AC off, just live without it for a week. Try that. Try it once and I'll tell you what. Try it once and you'll realize how hard it is to live without it. Try it once and you'll realize, man, this is hard. I'm so used to being in an air-conditioned environment that this is hard. Because I'll tell you what, if the bombs ever drop, if things ever get bad, which they will, one way or another, because if Revelation still has to come to pass, then things are going to get bad, whether we like it or not. So when that happens, the ones who it's going to get bad for, because remember, it'll only really mainly be bad for people like us, the believers, the ones who hold on to the truth. That's who it's really going to be bad for. For the people that don't care, for the mundane human, it'll be bad sometimes, but they'll still live a pretty average life, I think. They'll be living in the safe cities. That's what I see happening. But make sure that you're ready for that. Make sure that you won't bow down. Make sure that you're... Because, look, in a state of panic, in a state of in a world where you've never... Say you've lived with AC all your life. You've lived in comfort all your life. You've had soda and ice to cool your drinks all your life. You've had Walmart and all that stuff to go down to and buy your stuff. Imagine always having that, and then one day all that being taken away. Imagine that. You may say now that, yeah, if that ever happened, I'd stake it out. I'm a true warrior. I could do it. I could live it without it. I could do all that stuff without it. I could pioneer. You may say that. But I'll tell you what, a whole lot of people, when it happens, the people that thought that they were the strong-willed people that could never be done away with, a lot of them, when it really hits, when they really have to live in 100-degree weather with no AC, and they have to go out and work in 100 degrees to stay fed, do that for about a year, those safe cities are going to start looking pretty good. You're going to start thinking, all they want me to do is get a little mark on my hand. All they want me to do is get a little shot in my arm. And then that's all they want. I mean, it's not like they're asking to take my life away. They just want me to have a little, put a little medicine in my body. Then I'll be allowed in the city. That's all it's going to take. That's how it's going to start looking to a lot of people. That intrepid, I'll never bow down. I'll never go. I'll never be a part of those safe cities. All that stuff, you're going to start throwing it out the window. And you're going to start thinking about how grand the city looks. How grand the place it is to just, get out of the heat, have AC, be fed, all that. That's what most people are going to start thinking. Most preppers. A lot of people. And I think some of the... I'm just going to say, guys, some of those big YouTube preppers that are out there, some of those big YouTube people that are out there, they're just doing it for the money. Those ones with everything, those guys are gonna they're gonna bow out when it happens. They're just making a show of it. They won't last. They're gonna bow out. They're gonna come to where they are. Their house is gonna be there, but they're gonna be in one of those safe cities because they've grown too complacent. They've grown too wealthy. All the monthly checks and all that stuff. They're not going to know how to live without it. They may have the best weapons. They may have the greatest guns and stacks of ammo and a store of food to the roof and all that good stuff. But living in a real world like the Mad Max movies, living in a real world like that, a lot of those people that drive around in Teslas have everything they need right at their fingertips. Though preppers they claim to be, though their YouTube channel is called Prepper, they're going to bow out. They won't last. That's why we have to be the ones to step up. And I want to make sure that everybody that watches this channel, I want to make sure that everybody who is a fellow warrior will last the battle. That's my goal. That's what I want to see for all of you who watch this channel. I want to see a strong person. I want to see warriors rise up from watching these videos. I want to empower people. I want to get them to find their inner strength. I want to make sure they know just what they're capable of. Because you are capable of much more than you think. You are capable of becoming what no one else could. I want to make sure that I'm not doing this channel just to be out there, just to get clicks. That's not the point. I want to make sure that as I do this, that one person who needed to hear it will hear it. I want to make sure that that one mom, single mother, and her 2 kids, her 2 wee paps, I want to make sure they watch these videos and realize that they can make it. Because watching videos like, you watch these videos of people with 1 million subscribers and thing, and they've got all these fancy toys and thing, makes you feel small. Makes you feel like, oh, I'll never reach that. I'm too far behind. I started too late. They're too far ahead of me. When things fall down, I'll never last. That's not true. So I want to see warriors rise out of this channel. I want to create fellow warriors, people who can count on each other. That's what the game is all about. That's what I want to see, and that's what I want for each and every one of you. So warriors, stay out of the heat, keep prepping, and I'll see you on the line of battle.